If you want to know when the narcissist knows that they have lost, they're a pretty sight. I'll tell you that right now, because they feel totally empty inside. And so they're constantly trying to make themselves look like the winner. And with narcissists, everything is black and white. The world is divided into winners and losers and the best and the worst. And people are either fantastic or crap. And so with them, you're either for them or against them. And if you're against them, then you become public enemy number one. They have to take you down. They have to make sure that they go after you, and they want to make sure that they get you before you get them, because you're no longer going to be a source of supply for them. And so they want to make sure they make you look bad before you have a chance to make them look bad. And so it's all this game all the time. And especially because it's a survival thing for them. They feel like if they give at all, that somehow they won't be seen, that somehow they will disappear, that somehow they can't breathe or something. Even giving anything at all means that they cease to exist in some way. Something broke within them when they were children, that they were traumatized in some way. And so it's all a game constantly with them. So they realize that the jig is up when they are no longer that center of attention, because they're trying to be the center of attention. Now, there's different types of narcissists. There's that overt type of narcissist that's out there telling everybody how great they are, demanding. This is the person that, the minute they're in the room, they're holding court. They expect the best tables in the restaurants. They're telling everybody how great they are. They have no problem with all of this. Whereas more the covert narcissist is more the woe is me, I'm the victim, I can never get what I want, I'm the sickly one, nobody ever pays attention to me, people are always horrible to me. They're more like the downtrodden victim sort of one, whereas the overt narcissist is more the out there one. So either way, they're still trying to get attention for themselves. And so when one of the ways that they know that they're losing or that they have lost is that they're no longer getting that attention, right? And so that's number one. Number two is they're realizing that people are starting to speak ill of them. They're realizing that they're hearing people talk badly about them, or especially when their flying monkeys are talking badly about them, the people that they've lined up. Flying monkeys is a reference to the Wizard of Oz. These people that have no thought. They're just lined up on their side. Number three is people in their lives have started to ignore them or walk away when they approach, or they're being ignored by their partner or their friends or their family. It doesn't happen immediately, but they start to lose control. And I have a whole video on signs a narcissist is losing control, and you can definitely check that out. Number three is like their partner is like actually openly hostile to them right in front of other people. That's not a good sign, right? And they start to realize that nobody wants to be around them because they're just so self-centered and arrogant. And they start to realize that nobody wants to be around them. People aren't believing their lies. They're realizing that nobody is believing their lies anymore, and they're being exposed. When they have been exposed, that's when they've really, really lost. And that's what I teach. I teach how to create that strategy, create that leverage so that they potentially feel like they could get exposed, because exposure is when they really feel like they've lost. And that's what they definitely don't want more than anything. And so that's where your real leverage comes in. And I can teach you so much more about that in the Slave program. And that's the kind of thing that you need. So, but the thing is, if you expose them, that's when they really feel like they've lost. So I want you to put expose them in the comments right now. So start with my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet for sure. at winmynegotiation.com. You can grab that and join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. And just remember, never give in and never give up, because they definitely win if you give up, right? So don't give up. So I have a deep understanding of the psyche of them, and I also completely empathize with what you guys are dealing with. So I understand what happens when narcissists lose. Like, when you're ready to move on, when you're ready to finally get what you want, I want you to be ready. So here we go. Let me just explain something to you. Narcissists have no sense of self. They are very empty. It's like a shell inside. They overcompensate. They layer on all kinds of things because they're basically trying to feed this need for feeling like they have some value from the outside instead of doing it from the inside, which is where they should be trying to do it. And they're going about it all the wrong way, but that's what they're trying to do. So, it's like trying to feed somebody with their mouth closed, and the food will never get inside there, but that's what they're trying to do. And because of that, they actually have a deep-seated sense of neediness, but they're overcompensating constantly. So they actually really deeply are trying to show that they're in charge, show that they're in control, layer on all this stuff to make it look like they are powerful, prestigious. It's all about the optics for them constantly. So losing is like about the worst thing that could possibly happen to them. So it's not a good thing. I mean, it's definitely probably one of the worst things that could happen to them. If you want to know what the signs are that they're starting to lose control, you can definitely check out my video on the signs that they're starting to lose control. I have a whole video on that, which you should probably check out. And I did actually interview Dr. Bandy Lee, who's one of the most highly regarded psychiatrists. She's actually a medical doctor who's taught at Yale. She's authored many books on narcissists, and she's a total specialist on narcissists and personality disorders. And she has a deep understanding of this personality type. And I love one of her explanations on it. She says those with pathological narcissism are abusive and dangerous because of their catastrophic neediness. She says, think of a drowning person gasping for air. A survival instinct just may push you down in order to save one's own life, in the manner that the body needs oxygen, the soul needs love, and self-love is what a toxic narcissist is desperately lacking. This is why he must overcompensate, creating for himself a self-image where he is the best at everything, never wrong, better than all the experts, this genius kind of a thing, like that I am the best at everything, all of that sort of thing. So that's what narcissists are trying to do. They're trying to overcompensate at all times, trying to make themselves look like they're perfect at everything. So when they lose, they're going to do whatever they can to, number one, first of all, lie about it, make it look like they didn't lose. They may actually tell people that they didn't. So, especially let's say they were in court, they may lie. They may tell people that, they may go around telling people that this is what happened and it didn't happen. And you may be like telling people, what? That's not how it went down. And you'd be like shocked. So that's one of the things that they may do. They may tell people things that were flat out lies about how it went down. So that's one of the things that you may see happen. Another thing that you may see happen is that they become fixated on changing the outcome, like never letting it go. If they lose in a court of law, you may see them actually constantly appealing it, constantly trying to turn the outcome, constantly filing motions, or maybe just ignoring the court orders, maybe just pretending like it didn't happen that way. That's another thing that they may do. So, just pretending, they don't have to abide by whatever the outcome was. That's another one. Another one may be that they go after the person. They may say, you cheated, you lied, you caused this to happen, punish the person, go after them in some way, make their lives a living hell because they did that. Try to take them down, go after them in another way. Decide that, okay, you won this one, but I'm going to win another one. Create chaos around them. Maybe start lying about them another way, triangulate, go after them and, by telling other groups of people lies, that sort of thing. So they're not probably going to take it very well, more than likely, or they may just completely ghost you. They may just completely go on. That would be the best thing. If you can make it happen that way, where they just move on to a completely different group of people and hope that you never see them again and pray that the same thing never happens to you. That's the best thing that could possibly happen. That's the outcome that I always pray for myself as well, where I hope I never have to see them again, and vice versa. They'll probably be telling lies about you, and who really cares? You can't control what they're going to say about you. All you can do is look forward and live your own life and know your own truth and live your own power. So, whatever it is that they're going to say about you, they're going to say about you. You just know your own truth. And I want you to write that in the comments right now. Know your truth, live your own life, know your power. You cannot control what they're going to say or they're going to do, and you cannot worry about your outcomes. Narcissists are always the worst right before they're ready to give up. It's okay. Don't worry about how they're going to behave, because they want you to feel that way. They want you to worry about how they're going to behave. They're like 2-year-olds having a tantrum. They want you to be going, oh my God, they're going to act like this crazy person, so I better not move forward. I better not do this. So then you live in this fear, this abject horror that they might do whatever they're going to do. So then you don't live your life. That is no way to live. I can tell you for sure, it is definitely better to move past them and be on the other side of this thing. Definitely. So you can step past them having their tantrum, have them in your rearview mirror. It's fine. They'll do whatever they're going to do. They're going to leave whoever in their wake and continue to have their destruction with whoever's around them. But you're not going to be in their space anymore, because once you expose them, they don't want to be around you anymore, because now you know who they really are. They'd rather, honestly, be around people who they can trick into believing that they're wonderful. They'd rather be around people who are, giving them all the adulation, saying that they're amazing all the time. They want to be revered. So they'd rather be in groups of people who are revering them. Step past them once they're having their tantrum. Let them do that. Expose them. It's fine. You'll live through it. Fed up with narcissists walking all over you? Sick of everyone believing their lies while you're paying through the nose in attorney's fees? What if you could hold all the cards for a change? Hey, I'm Rebecca Zung. I'm a top 1% trial attorney, a USA Today bestselling author, and I've spent my entire career helping people slay narcissists in negotiations, most recently through my proven slay method. What if your suffering could become your superpower? Imagine turning all that pain into power, not just for you, but for others too. This is your chance to take back control. You can finally win. Become a high conflict negotiation certified coach. Help others while transforming your own life, and do good for the world. This is your chance. Go to RebeccaZung.com/apply, and I'll show you how to turn the tables for good starting today. And today, we are going to be talking about an amazing topic, which is really kind of sad for them, but also kind of good for you in some ways, because it's kind of how you end up building your leverage. And I teach you guys how to negotiate in a really, really powerful way so that you can go from those lives of drama, trauma, and chaos to step into lives of freedom, possibility, and purpose and get the life that you want. So you are here in a community of like-minded individuals, and we are going to dive into this fantastic topic today so that you can be on your journey of positive transformation. Let's go into why and explore why all narcissists end up losing. I say this all the time. They do. They seem like winners. You guys think that they're, oh my God, they always win. They always win. They always get away with everything. It seems like it happens for a while. It does seem that way for a while, but they don't always get away with everything. I'm going to tell you that life ends up catching up to them in a number of ways. You've got to use this as part of your strategy for success. They do end up finding themselves caught in the web of their own creation. It's their own doing. And when you're creating that strategy, leverage, anticipating, and focus on you, you've got to think about this. You got to think about how this is going to play into your long game, because they don't end up playing the long game, and it ends up being their Achilles heel. One of the reasons is that they just don't have empathy, and they end up, not forming true connections. They end up not forming true relationships. That ends up being part of their downfall. People end up seeing them for who they are eventually. Trust erodes. People start seeing that. You'll see that too. They end up overplaying their hands. They think that they are God after a while, and they end up making mistakes in emails that they write, in text messages that they write, in things that they say. And those, my dear ones, are the things that you are going to be journaling, things that you are going to be taking account of, you're going to write down, that you are going to save, and you are going to make sure that you are going to take account of. And in my Slay program, I teach you exactly how to take note of all of that, and it becomes perfect leverage for you. Strategy, leverage, anticipate, focus on you. How you can get started with that: download my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet at winmynegotiation.com. Make sure you opt into that and get that for free. It's a free 15-page worksheet. It's a great place for you to get started. So the next thing is that they're driven by emotions. They're so run by their emotions. They're so easily slighted. They're so easily triggered by everything. They write you these super long emails or super long texts or whatever, and then you can use that. You give them enough rope to hang themselves, they absolutely will. If you just respond in a way that is very much taking the high road, never explain, justify, or overshare. Just the facts. I always say, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. Remain calm. Don't allow yourself to be triggered. They go fishing. I always say they'll go fishing. Go fishing. They reel you in like bait. They got a hook in your mouth. When you allow that to happen, now you're down into it with them. Don't allow that to happen. Then they give you something that you're giving them, that supply source that they're looking for. You remain calm, but when they are driven by emotions, they give you that leverage that you will eventually be able to use against them in negotiations. Remember, using that diamond level supply, which is how they look to the world, so that you can get rid of that coal level supply, which is jerking you around, threatening a source of supply that's more important for them to keep than the supply that they get from jerking you around. And if that sounds amazing, give me a yeah in the comments. Go yeah in the comments. I want you guys to be able to be free, have freedom, and so that you can have the lives that you want. The next thing is that they don't play the long game. They're only thinking about that short-term hit on how can they get you. And so you don't want to play that game. You want to play the long game. Think about where it is that you want to go. Don't think about how you're going to get veered off, veered off, veered off. Think about where it is that you want to go. Keep your eye on that ball. Don't get like, who's that old movie? What is the squirrel? Don't get squirreled, Think about where it is you want to go. Have your strategy. Every time something happens, go, is this going to get me closer to where it is that I want to go? No, if it's not, then nope. But they get caught up in that game. You don't take that bait, but they do. The next thing is that they take unnecessary risks. They take these ridiculous, unnecessary risks, and they do that not just for themselves, but for others too. They will take themselves down to take other people down with it. I saw this in my divorce practice. They would torch their own business just to torch the other side. It's just so stupid. But this is the kinds of things that they do because they don't think rationally. They don't think reasonably. So that goes back to how you have to set up your leverage. And if you're dealing with a narcissist and you need additional support, make sure you join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung, to get that additional support that you need. And if you need access to therapy, make sure that you go to betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung to find a good therapist. We receive commissions on that. It doesn't cost you any extra. It's a sponsor for us. We just want you to have access to help and support and resources that you can trust. The next thing is that they take, and they never give back. Not just from you, but from all the relationships that they're in. And eventually people see their true colors. That's another way that they end up losing. They have to constantly look for new sources of supply because people start to see who they really are. So they never really end up forming true relationships with people. People start to see who they actually are. They're always the victim to everybody. So they've got to find new sources of supply everywhere they go. And finally, their lies finally do catch up to them if you call them out on it. And that's what you get to do when you use that my slay method in the right way. And that's how they end up truly losing. And, they really end up losing because they don't have that true connection with people. They don't have those authentic relationships in the same way that you do. That true people who really know themselves really understand that, their counterfeit power, it's constantly a lie that they're running. They're so run by their trauma and everything else. It's just such a horrible existence to live by all the time. But that is not your problem. It is not your responsibility. And no, they can't change. No, you can't fix them. So you have to be the one who can fix yourself, change yourself, and get out of that situation. Today, we're going to be talking about, those narcissists. All right. So the first thing is over aggressiveness. They get overly aggressive, overly defensive. At their core, narcissists feel totally and completely empty inside, even though they might act like a big bully. They think they know what they're doing. They always say, I feel good about myself. I feel great. I know what's going on. At their core, deep down inside, they may have pushed it all down. They may act like they're all that or whatever, but they tie their sense of self-worth to their sense of superiority, their sense of control. And when they sense that this superiority, their sense of control is under threat, they react, they trigger, they get overly aggressive, overly defensive. And to reestablish that dominance, that presence, that ego is fragile. And when that gets threatened, they get even more dominant. They get even more crazy. They almost have like a tantrum. It's like out of control sometimes. And that's why you can sense like they start actually making mistakes. And I've seen this in negotiations where they actually start almost overreaching, almost asking for more things than they should. If somebody, let's say in a team meeting at work, say a colleague supports an alternative approach to the one supported by the narcissist, and instead of considering it, if that narcissist senses that somebody is not on their side, that they think should be on their side, they can snap at that. That's not going to work. And we've tried that before. Or, aren't you paying attention? Like once they know or feel like somebody is not on their side, not supporting them, they can get extremely defensive about that, because with a narcissist, you're either for them or against them. That's it. They don't trust them. They got to have your full undying support, or that's it. And then suddenly they're the victim. When you're trying to bring up something that you're unhappy about, now suddenly they become the victim. They're very, very good at becoming the victim. They have to retort with something that you did that's so much worse and make so much noise about you and let everybody know how much worse you are. That's when they feel like they're losing control, because they have to make so much more noise about you. That's another sign that they feel like they're losing control. Number 2 is manipulation and diversion tactics. So one of the hallmarks of narcissistic behavior is masterful manipulation. They artfully divert attention, twist narratives, and evade responsibility, making you second guess your perspective. If they're caught in a lie, instead of admitting it, they shift the conversation, saying, you always misunderstand me. If you had listened better, you would have understood what I was saying. You didn't hear me. That's not what I said. You misunderstood the conversation. And you didn't misunderstand the conversation. You didn't mishear it, but they say that you misheard what was said. Another one is if they feel cornered, they'll divert. Remember that time that you messed up. You always do that. That's something that you always do. And instead of taking responsibility for what they're doing right then and there, divert attention away from what you're trying to say. Lie and deny, project and deflect. Number 3 is need for validation and reassurance. So beneath their exterior of unyielding confidence, many narcissists harbor an insatiable need for validation. It's always goes this direction. They have this fragile self-image. They're closing this minor deal, maybe, at work or something, but they're flaunting it around as if, they brokered world peace, but they need to seek affirmative compliments from everybody around. Like, did you see how I handled that? I'm so good at this. I have a knack for this. Don't you think? I handled this so well. They might drop comments hoping to receive compliments like, I don't know if I did that well in that presentation, getting people to go, oh my God, you did great. You were amazing. If you guys have seen this, give me a totally in the comments so far. Give me examples of the things that you guys have seen of any of these that I've told you about so far as well. And by the way, in my new book, I have all of these things. So make sure you check out my new book, Slay the Bully, slaythebullybook.com. Go to slaythebullybook.com. Get it. I have all of these things in there. So make sure you get that, slaythebullybook.com, because in there right now, I'm also offering a free masterclass, a free workbook. So make sure you go there and get that. And if you're watching this video before September 30th, make sure you join me at my free launch, slaythebullylaunch.com, because we're like having a massive party and I'm going to be doing so many amazing things there too. So make sure you sign up for that also. Okay. Number 4 is avoidance or complete withdrawal. So when they can't shape the narrative and they feel like they're going to be exposed, they may just, completely just avoid you. They may just stop talking to you. You know how they do that ghosting thing, right? And it might just be sort of a punishment thing too, where they just decide, you know what, I'm not going to talk to you at all, because they think that you're going to come after them. They think that you're going to be so sorry that you try to treat them badly, because you know how they do that push-pull thing, that hot-cold thing, hot-cold, hot-cold. Let's say you present them with a really solid offer and a negotiation, you send over a letter or whatever it is, and you want an answer Well, they just won't answer. And sometimes they do this sort of gaslighting thing, like, will you please send over an offer? Please send over an offer. And you're like, I sent over one. And they act like you didn't. It's like this crazy making thing. Or sometimes if you talk to them in a personal relationship about undeniable evidence of their wrongdoings, they just resort to complete silent treatment and they just stop talking to you completely. Like, I can't talk to you anymore. And they just walk away. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's be real. Therapy can feel like a really big investment, but your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Traditional in-person therapy can cost $100 to $250 per session, but with BetterHelp, you can save up to 50% per session on average. You pay a flat weekly fee, which means more peace of mind for less. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. BetterHelp gives you that, all from the comfort from your home. And with over 30,000 therapists to choose from and 5 million people served globally, this is the world's largest online therapy platform. And you can switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/negotiate today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/negotiate. So let's talk about the words that narcissists hate. They're usually the ones that are trying to get you. And if you want to know about the narcissist's favorite sayings, check out my video on the narcissist's favorite sayings. They have their own little collection of things that they love to say to drive you insane, to make you feel small, to devalue you, to make you feel like you shouldn't even be a speck of dust. I mean, I've had so many people say to me, I think he or she wants me to actually kill myself. But that is not true, because then there would go their source of supply. So basically, they love getting the supply, that narcissistic supply, that thing that feeds their ego. They want to get it from as many sources as they possibly can. And if you want to know more about narcissistic supply, check out my video on narcissistic supply, where I actually define the whole thing. But basically, what they're trying to do is make them feel more powerful over you by controlling you and driving you crazy. So, you know, they bring you in with love bombing and they get you going and they make you think they're so wonderful and so perfect because they're really, really charismatic and they're terrific at making that you think that they are perfect in some way, whether it's in a business setting or a relationship setting. They come on with this charismatic, I'm so perfect for you way of being, and maybe even offer to do all kinds of things for you. And they might even do one or two things for you in the beginning. A lot of it is offering and future faking and all that sort of thing. And if you want to know more about future faking, check out my video on future faking as well. What can you do to actually get their goat, like actually annoy the crap out of them? So here are some words that narcissists absolutely hate. Number one is any kind of praise or any kind of adulation or respect or anything about anyone else. They really cannot take that. Even if you just say, wow, I really admire that person, they're really good at this. Or even if you just compliment them in some way, they're really great in business. Or I like their house. You know, somehow any kind of compliment about someone else becomes something about them. It becomes something that irritates them, that bothers them in some way, that maybe you like them better or you think more highly of them than you think of them. And so therefore it becomes a threat to them in some way. So any kind of nice words about somebody other than them is a problem. Number two is, that's not true. If you just literally say, I think you're lying, then they hate that. Especially if you have proof that they're lying or that you know that they're not telling the truth. I mean, you could literally show them the proof right in front of their face and they will go right to projection or denial or all those other kinds of things. And definitely check out my video on what happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie. There's several different things that they normally do, but they really, really hate it if you just simply say, and you just say it factually. You don't have to say it with emotion or anger or anything like that. You can just say it as if you're like reporting the news, like that's just not true. So that's number 2. Number 3 is I will not. In other words, I will not go with you. I will not do that thing that you want. I will not go along with your plan to defraud somebody or whatever it is. I had a narcissistic client one time who used to say to me, Rebecca, you're really going to be lonely in heaven by yourself. And you like to try to goad me into doing something that I didn't want to do. No, I just said, no, I will not do that. So that's number 3 is I will not. All right, number 4 is similar, which is I cannot. Like literally, I can't do that. I can't do that right now. I can't do that ever. I'm not physically able. I'm not emotionally able. I'm not spiritually able. I'm not able. I just cannot help you in whatever way it is that you want me to do. And they don't like that. I cannot, I will not happening. They don't want to hear that. And the next one is you lost. I mean, even if it's just playing a game or something and they happen to lose, you lost. They don't want to hear you lost. Even if they did lose, they don't want to hear about that. So, you can't actually say, because they're going to have all kinds of reasons why, maybe it looks like they lost, but they didn't actually lose. Namely, probably because you cheated or something happened that caused them to, make it look like they lost, even though they definitely did win. And if you are so ready to be the winner, give me an I win in the comments. Okay, the next one is you're wrong. So, again, even if they are wrong and you give them proof of it, I mean, you could be showing them something on your phone or showing them a piece of paper or something that actually proves to them that they are wrong. They're never going to admit that they were wrong. And so for those of you who are dealing with a narcissist, don't waste your breath trying to prove them wrong, because they're never going to admit to it. The words that sound something like, oh my gosh, you are totally right. I'm 100% wrong. I am so sorry. You totally didn't deserve that behavior. I am terrible. You think that you're ever going to hear those words? No. I mean, you're better off waiting for goldfish to fly or, the moon to be made out of green cheese or whatever it is. I mean, anything is more possible than that. I mean, they're really not going to do that. So, you just have to believe that, karma will win out. You use the tactics that I teach you on how to win in other ways, creating your strategy and your leverage and all of the things that I teach you. And you will have to prove them wrong in a different way because, just by simply saying you're wrong, they hate that and that you're not going to get anywhere with it. The next one is, I don't care. I mean, what is worse to a narcissist? You think that being mean to a narcissist is the worst thing or fighting back against them is the worst thing? Actually, no. The worst thing to a narcissist is that you are completely apathetic, that you just seriously don't care at all. I mean, when you can get to a point where someday maybe you don't even remember that narcissist's name or what they look like or what they did to you or anything like that, that's actually the best revenge on a narcissist because they hate that. They don't want to be irrelevant. They'd rather be in your face and having you complain about them and think that they're a horrible person than be completely irrelevant. So they absolutely hate the words, I don't care. Okay, so the next one is I'm busy, which actually is very closely related to the 9th one, which is not now. So I'm busy or not now meaning I can't be with you right now. I can't do what you want right now. I will not do what you want right now, or maybe ever. And they really don't want to hear that. I mean, so with I'm busy or not now, they expect you to move mountains and drop everything for them right now. Or they'll just walk right into your office or walk right into your house and expect and demand to have attention drawn upon them immediately. Or maybe they walk into a restaurant and they expect the best table right away. And if people don't immediately all, flock to giving them what it is that they want, then they actually are, personally affronted. And with narcissists, you're either for them or against them. And so if they don't perceive you to be 100% for them and giving you every minute of attention, every second of the day, immediately when they want it, then obviously you're against them, right? So that brings me to the last one, which is the word that they hate the most, which is no, in any way, shape, or form. Narcissists have no boundaries. They don't think that they should have any boundaries. They feel entitled. And so, if you say the word no in any way, shape, or form, it is a personal affront to them. They are personally triggered. That narcissistic injury gets triggered, and there comes out flying the narcissistic rage, and hell hath no fury like a narcissist scorned. So anyway, those are the 10 phrases that narcissists hate the most. And when you are going to negotiate with them, you should keep those in the back of your mind and either use them strategically or don't use them at all, depending on what it is that you want to accomplish. All right. You want a narcissist to lose their mind? I'm going to give you 10 ways to make them do that. So make sure you stay tuned all the way till the end, and make sure that you get a notepad and start writing it down, because you definitely want to see how this is going to go. Now, make sure your safety is always key. Okay. Number one, hold them account to their behavior. They don't want to be held accountable for their behavior, especially the covert narcissist. This is the one thing that most people don't do. I know I didn't do when I had a narcissistic business partner, at least not right away, because they're so passive aggressive, especially at the beginning. You're like, what is going on here? I know for me, I didn't speak up quickly enough. And so that's how they start conditioning you at the beginning. So for me, I know the narcissistic business partner that I had would promise to do things and then not do them. And I would be like, should I say something? Should I not? If you hold them to account to their behavior every single time, and I'm telling you this as an attorney, you cannot let them get away with anything. So if they were supposed to have discovery in on a certain date, you need to file that motion right away. Hold them account to their behavior. If they show up someplace after they said they were sick, go right up to them and say, I thought you weren't feeling well. They're not used to people saying things directly to them. Hold them account for their behavior. That's number one. Number two is stop giving them primary supply. They will lose their minds. Diamond level supply is what they love. So they love you to feed their ego. They love you to make them feel like they're amazing. Whatever it is that is that primary source of supply that they're getting from you, if you cut off that primary source of supply, they will lose their minds. That being said, I will say to you, sometimes you want to continue to give them a certain source of supply if it is something that you're doing strategically. So I have this one particular strategy that I call fluff for favor, vomit later, where you're kind of ethically manipulating the manipulator, where you give them something and in return, you're getting something that you want. So, for example, you might say, can you handle doing the QuickBooks this month? You're so much better at it than I am, and it will be done so much more efficiently than if I did it. You want to make sure that there's no sarcasm in there or anything like that. but you're giving them something to stroke that ego, something that they love. Stop giving them primary supply if all you're doing is giving them supply just to give them supply. Okay, that will make them lose their minds. The next one is implications that their control is threatened. So if they see that they're losing their grip on you, if they see that that grip is slipping away in some way, then they will lose their minds. They're going to start to have a little bit of a temper tantrum. That's okay. That's how you switch that dynamic of power. It's going to be an adjustment for you. It's going to be an adjustment for them. The way I like to describe it is a 2-year-old having a tantrum on the floor. When a 2-year-old has a tantrum, they feel like all they need to do is cry a little bit longer or scream louder or kick harder or pound their fists on the ground a little bit more. And mom and dad will just give in to me because that's what happened last time. That's what's going on. They're trying to condition you. They're trying to make it you do what they want them to do. If you give in, then they'll just do that more next time. So it feels unfamiliar to you when you're conditioning them back, but that's okay. You'll be okay and they'll be okay. Remember, they'll be the worst right before they're ready to give up. The next one is they will lose their mind if you leave them or abandon them, even if they have said they want to leave you or go ahead and leave me or we're not right for each other, we need to be done or anything like that, because it's that push-pull thing that leave me, I hate you, don't leave me, I hate you, don't leave me. They don't want you to actually leave them. They want you to prove how much you love them. They want you to feel manipulated. They enjoy messing with your feelings. That is part of the game for them. So if you actually leave them, if you actually abandon them, they will lose their minds. And if any of this is resonating with you, go ahead and put yes in the comments. And by the way, I have other videos on the narcissistic relationship, the love bombing, the devaluing, and the discard phases, which you definitely should check out if you haven't seen those before. The next one is standing up for yourself, especially if you haven't stood up for yourself in the past. They won't like it. They will lose their minds. That's another thing that will start to upset them. But again, baby steps, you're taking that switch, you're switching that dynamic of power, you're course correcting. It's not going to feel comfortable to do it all overnight, but you can do it. You can turn it around. I say step 1, don't run. Step 2, make a U-turn. Step 3, break free. You can turn it around. The next thing that will make them go crazy is ignoring attempts to manipulate you. If you ignore those attempts to manipulate you, and you just start going gray rock, which is what you're doing, you're like a gray rock, it's just boring, then it will make them go crazy because they want to go fishing. They want to reel you in. And if you stay above that fray, then it will drive them absolutely crazy. The next one is keeping secrets from them. They are not trustworthy people to begin with. So they don't think that they can trust you. You certainly can't trust them. That's why they don't feel like they can trust you, because they're not trustworthy. Whatever they're doing behind your back ain't good. So they just assume everybody's like that. So they're assuming that you're doing bad things. So if they find out that you're actually keeping secrets from them, then, all hell breaks loose. It is what it is. And then, of course, the last one is, it's all part of that slave methodology anyway, by the way, where you have to create that strategy, that leverage, anticipating and focusing on you, which I teach you how to do so well if you want to beat those narcissists. And you, by the way, if you are dealing with the narcissist, make sure you have grabbed my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet at winmynegotiation.com, your free ebook. If you don't have it, what are you waiting for? All right. So make sure you get that. So number 10, threaten to expose them, of course, but make sure you do it within the power of the slave methodology, because if you don't do it the right way, it could be dangerous. All right. You really want to make sure that they're highly motivated and you are doing it the safe way, the strategic way, the tactical way. Summer's right around the corner and I'm already planning my next getaway. I love using points for travel and I'm always looking for ways to earn more. Here's a life hack I wish I'd known sooner. When you pay your rent through Bilt, you earn flexible, transferable points and unlock exclusive benefits along the way. Let me explain. There's no cost to join, and when you pay your rent through Bilt, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines and a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. When you pay your rent through Bilt, you unlock two powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month, no matter where you live or who your landlord is. Your rent now works for you. Second, you gain access to exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. Bilt's neighborhood benefits are things like extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, free mats or towels at your favorite fitness studios, and unique benefits or experiences that only Bilt members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Bilt points can be converted to your favorite miles and hotel points around the world, meaning that your rent can literally take you places. So if you're not earning points on Bilt rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start paying your rent through Bilt and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbilt.com/negotiate. That's joinbilt.com/negotiate. Make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. That's joinbilt/negotiate to sign up to joinbilt.com/negotiate today. You want to know when the narcissist knows that they have lost. They're a pretty sight, I'll tell you that right now, because they feel totally empty inside. And so they're constantly trying to make themselves look like the winner. And with narcissists, everything is black and white. The world is divided into winners and losers and the best and the worst. And people are either fantastic or crap. And so with them, you're either for them or against them. And if you're against them, then you become public enemy number one. They have to take you down. They have to make sure that they go after you, and they want to make sure that they get you before you get them, because you're no longer going to be a source of supply for them. And so they want to make sure they make you look bad before you have a chance to make them look bad. And so it's all this game all the time. And especially because it's a survival thing for them. They feel like if they give at all, that somehow they won't be seen, that somehow they will disappear, that somehow they can't breathe or something. Even giving anything at all means that they cease to exist in some way. Something broke within them when they were children, that they were traumatized in some way. And so it's all a game constantly with them. So they realize that the jig is up when they are no longer that center of attention, because they're trying to be the center of attention. Now, there's different types of narcissists. There's that overt type of narcissist that's out there telling everybody how great they are, demanding. This is the person that, the minute they're in the room, they're holding court. They expect the best tables in the restaurants. They're telling everybody how great they are. They have no problem with all of this. Whereas more the covert narcissist is more the woe is me, I'm the victim, I can never get what I want, I'm the sickly one, nobody ever pays attention to me, people are always horrible to me. They're more like the downtrodden victim sort of one, whereas the overt narcissist is more the out there one. So either way, they're still trying to get attention for themselves. And so one of the ways that they know that they're losing or that they have lost is that they're no longer getting that attention, right? And so That's number one. Number two is they're realizing that people are starting to speak ill of them. They're realizing that they're hearing people talk badly about them, or especially when their flying monkeys are talking badly about them. The people that they've lined up. Flying monkeys is a reference to the Wizard of Oz. These people that have no thought, they're just lined up on their side. Number three is people in their lives have started to ignore them or walk away when they approach, or they're being ignored by their partner or their friends or their family. It doesn't happen immediately, but they start to lose control. And I have a whole video on signs a narcissist is losing control, and you can definitely check that out. Number three is like their partner is like actually openly hostile to them right in front of other people. That's not a good sign, right? And they start to realize that nobody wants to be around them because they're just so self-centered and arrogant, and they start to realize that nobody wants to be around them. People aren't believing their lies. They're realizing that nobody is believing their lies anymore, and they're being exposed. When they have been exposed, that's when they've really, really lost. And that's what I teach. I teach how to create that strategy, create that leverage so that they potentially feel like they could get exposed, because exposure is when they really feel like they've lost. And that's what they definitely don't want more than anything. And so that's where your real leverage comes in. And I can teach you so much more about that in the Slay program. And that's the kind of thing that you need. So, but the thing is, if you expose them, that's when they really feel like they've lost. So I want you to put expose them in the comments right now. So start with my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet for sure at winmynegotiation.com. You can grab that. And join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. And just remember, never give in and never give up, because they definitely win if you give up, right? So don't give up. Let's talk about what's going on when you're dealing with narcissists. Most of the time, they are making you lose your mind, right? They love it. They thrive on it. It gives them narcissistic supply, which is their lifeblood, their food, their oxygen, what they live on. They live for that. They literally get off on trying to make you lose your mind. And so how can you possibly turn it around against them? Well, one of the things you need to remember is that you got to think about who it is that you're dealing with over here. This is a person who has no inner sense of value. They suck all of their value from the external world. And most of the time, that value is going to come from either adulation or compliments or doing things for them, or they're going to turn around and get it from you in the form of, devaluing you, putting you down, making you feel bad, trying to control you. All of those kinds of things, they get supply from that as well. So it's going to be one or the other. But the only reason why you're in their space, that they even give you the time of day, is because you are giving them some source of supply. That's why they want to keep you around. So knowing that, remember that you hold all the cards. You're the one who is giving them that supply source. It's like the oxygen that we need to breathe really has all the leverage over us because we need it to breathe. And so, you kind of forget sometimes that you are actually that oxygen to the narcissist. So it's pretty easy to make them go crazy and drive them absolutely nuts if you think about it in terms of what supply is it that you are giving to them. So the object of this whole game here is for you to figure out a way to no longer be a good host, a good source of supply, a good source of nutrition for them. All right. Because they're going to have to then go slither on down the road and go look for it somewhere else. Remember that they want to feel, powerful. So they're doing whatever they can to make sure that you see them as being powerful. So one of the ways that you can completely make them go crazy is to stop giving them adulation. Stop giving them, oh, you're so wonderful, you're so great, that sort of thing. Now, I will tell you, one of the ways that I do tell you to kind of get what you want from a narcissist is to sparingly use this adulation, sparingly use their need for being complimented to get them to do some things that you want them to do. And I call that bartering. So, you can use it to ethically manipulate the manipulator sometimes. But number one is to just stop giving them that adulation. They will absolutely go crazy if you do that. Number two is to stop doing the things that you're doing that are giving them narcissistic supply. So if you are in business with a narcissist, for example, I've talked to people who are business partners with narcissists, and they end up doing all of the work. They end up basically doing like 95% of everything. And then the narcissist sits around and tries to take all the credit, and you're making them look good, right? So if you take away that and you stop doing those things for them, that'll make them go bananas. And another thing that you can do is like stop being at their beck and call, stop being that supply source for them. So that's number two, which is just stop doing any of the things that are giving them narcissistic supply. If you want to know more about what supply is specifically, I do have a video specifically that just explains all about narcissistic supply. So I definitely recommend that you check that out. Okay, so there are a million other ways that you can torture them, but let's just go through at least two more. One of them is pointing out their insecurities and flaws. Like, you don't want to have to do that, but if you kind of point out their little flaws and you kind of give them a little bit of a taste of their own medicine, they cannot stand it. Any perceived slight, they absolutely go crazy. And if they think that you're even talking to them with some kind of a tone, I always say they hear tones like dogs hear whistles. They cannot stand it. They don't want a taste of their own medicine. They like to dish it out, but they definitely cannot take it. So that's definitely number three, is pointing out any kind of flaw or insecurity or issue that there may be with them. And, if you are like so ready to torture them and give them a taste of their own medicine, give me a torture them in the comments below. All right. So, next and last for this video is definitely one of the easiest and best ways for you to mess with them, but it's in the long run so much better for you, is to remove yourself from their lives. Just basically, you're not in this game anymore. You're not playing. They can play by themselves from now on, or go find somebody else to play this game with, but you're not in it anymore. And it will definitely, especially drive them absolutely crazy if they didn't see it coming. But I do recommend, if you are in a romantic type of a relationship with a narcissist, to make sure you have a plan. Don't let them know ahead of time. Definitely have a plan. Know where you're going to be, know how you're going to get there, know how much money you're going to need when you're there. If you have children together, make sure that you have some kind of a parenting plan in place, make sure that it's in writing, all of those kinds of things. And until you get to that point when you're ready to pull the trigger on making that happen, you will want to do everything you can to make them believe that everything is copacetic, business as usual. Don't let on what's going on. Don't give them a heads up. Don't try to talk to them about it, because they're seeing this loss of supply that's going to be walking out the door, and they're going to do whatever they can to shut that down and make sure that you aren't able to get out. So don't give them a heads up on it. Just do what you need to do. And then when you walk out, do not look back. And if it's in a business relationship, do the same thing. I've had to do it myself. I've had to wipe people from the CPU of my life so that it's like they didn't even ever exist. That is the best way to be free. There's always going to be toxic people coming in and out of your life. You just have to learn how to be okay with that and let them go. Don't look for revenge, by the way. I had a conversation with somebody recently where they just wanted to look for revenge, and they really believed that that was what was going to help them get over their trauma, was getting revenge on this person. And I told her that the only way she's really going to get revenge is to take that supply source away from the narcissist, put it aside, let it go, move on, break free. Don't worry about hurting the narcissist. That'll get taken care of in some way, one way or another, but you don't need to worry about that yourself.